Hello friend, Jim here with JB's Big Adventure coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico. And just like the thumbnail says, this is all about social media and some of the lies I'm sure that you've heard. I'm actually going to point those out. So this video is for you if you're looking on social media to try to get all your information, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Instagram, where it may be. There's even stuff on YouTube that comes out that is just really terrible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover quite a few different, I got a whole sheet here of things for you that is negative and how in fact it impacts you. And I'm going to show you how in fact what you're hearing is not correct. And that is the negative. But before I get to that, if you haven't already, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's a great community. I know you want to be a part of it. All you got to do is go to the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little red box. Tap on it, and you're subscribed. Go ahead and give us one of those thumbs up. Lets other people know it's a great video to watch about retiring to Lake Chapala. Okay, social media. Here's what I've found. I've been on social media now. I've been checking things out for probably the last, I think actually taking notes, probably the last month and a half. Just the different things. I use that as part of my, what's the word I would use? I look for things that I can actually do videos on content that's really valuable and time effective instead of just making something that's just entertainment. Our channel is, for the most part, 99% is all about the information that we can deliver to you and the value of the content. So some things I want to share. So what I want you to think about, and that is at the start of your looking into Lake Chapala, at the start of you looking to retire at Lake Chapala, at the start of you deciding where you want to be able to retire to, how did you feel? How did you feel? So let me ask you this. If you are feeling right now like you're really looking for some more guidance, that's what this video is about, okay? But here's what I also know, that when you're looking into the subject, there's high anxiety. And the reason is because of the fact the education is low. What you know, here, high anxiety. Here, low education. What I want to share with you is how you can have high education and knowledge about Lake Chapala and have your stress level be low. And I know a lot of people go to different social media sites to get their information. And I want you to know, I'm not just sharing this just because I've got a YouTube channel. What I want you to know is I want you to know the truth about some things that you're hearing. So this is why one of the main reasons that I really have a distaste for social media. Because when people are looking at it, they're thinking that this person's saying something and it's God's truth. And I think there's a real danger in that. Somebody can say anything about anybody. And I've actually experienced that recently. Somebody can say anything. They don't have to know you. They don't have to know anybody that you know. All they have to do is go on and say something. And I found that people on social media can actually be very, very mean, very derogatory. And that's one of the things that I'm really concerned about. What I have found is being on social media is a free-for-all. Some people let that free-for-all, all that information, become their future. So you're putting your future in somebody else's hands. Another thing about social media is there's no accountability. Anybody can say anything. There's no responsibility. There's a lot of misinformation, especially about Lake Chapala. And I'm going to cover some of those things. It causes concern, stress. Some people are trying to settle a score. Maybe there was something about Mexico they didn't like. And so when you hear that, that affects you. That the mental process that you're going through, that affects you. And so when we're being influenced, we're either being influenced for the positive, or by default, we're being influenced for the negative. Here's another one that really bothers me, and I see this on Facebook, is people with entitlement. You know, we're in Mexico. We're in a different country, those of us that are expats. And we need to embrace the community. We need to embrace the people, embrace the culture. I was just talking to somebody the other day that says, well, the reason that they live in Ajijic so they don't have to learn Spanish. Are you kidding me? Come on. I mean, what if we were in the States and you go to Walmart or we go to a restaurant and the person's really struggling with the server in regards to what to say and they can't speak English much? What would your mind be saying? That's right. They should be able to speak English. Okay. Now the shoe's on the other foot. We're in their country. We're in Mexico. We need to embrace them. We need to learn Spanish and be able to do that. And entitlement is something, it's just a negativity that, you know what, one person says something to another person, and here's what happens. Now you got a snowball effect going on. And the first information wasn't even true. But yet, every time someone else gets into the mix and they hear about it, they add something to it. So entitlement is, I tell people, you know what, if you're so unlikely to see this as a positive move or something that's really a great thing, or you've been here for a while and all you want to do is spread negativity, go home. I will tell you, you won't like it. Barbara and I recently got back from being in the States. Could not believe how expensive things are. Could not believe it. Going out to dinner and just having just a regular meal, the two of us, $44. We went to breakfast and it was like $39. And we're talking about just a regular breakfast. We're not talking about what other things that people have for breakfast. That's real expensive. I can't even tell you. But when you go and you're having pancakes and you're having stripples. I'm vegetarian. That's actually a vegetarian food. Bacon. Stripples is actually a bacon replacement. Now everybody's going to go and want to know what state food that stripples taste like. Here's what it does. Creates anger. It creates just people just being real nasty. And I've had it since I've been here for 2 years. I've had people asking me, why do I do a channel? Why not just let people find out on their own? And I just want to say to them, are you kidding me? Why would you say something like that? People are people, and people do what people do. I think that people that go to social media and say things have no ethics. I think the integrity just goes out the window. So what does that do? It makes you fearful. It makes you afraid. You want to know if you're doing the right thing. You're looking forward to be able to have faith in something and have trust in something. Be able to put your thumb on the pulse of whatever it is that you're wanting to do and know more about it. So there's a trust factor. And one of the biggest things it creates is anxiety. So let me share some things with you that in the last month and a half I have seen. Some things I've talked about. And I'm just very, very surprised and disheartened that people have things that they say that's negativity. So there is a restaurant in town. The restaurant's name is Poncho's. And Poncho's used to work for another, not a restaurant, I'm sorry. It's a grocery store. You don't have to be real sharp to do YouTube. I'll tell you that. You can just tell that, I give the joke that, college wasn't looking for me because in my entire senior graduating class, they rank me clear up at number 25. Well, that's until you know that there was only 25. Okay, so let's get to the stuff here. So there's a grocery store named Poncho's. And Poncho's try to carry a lot of foods that we as expats are accustomed to. The things that you just can't normally go to a grocery store here and find. So he carries things, and he has to get it from the States. He goes to the States. He has to do all the purchasing. He has to truck it to the border, has to pay a company to go to the border and truck it down here, pay employees to put it on the shelf, and then sell it, and still make a profit. So they complained when his store only had 20,000 items. In fact, most people don't even know that. The Poncho store that is in Riberas has over 20,000 items. The Poncho store that is in West Ajijic has over 40,000 items. Now you wonder if I'm giving Poncho a plug. Absolutely. Because here's why. There was so much on Facebook negativity about how much it costs to shop at Poncho's. Or he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. I've told people, well, just go to the border and buy it yourself. If you want to spend the time to go up there and the gas and maybe spending a night, I mean, there's expenses involved in getting products here. And so to say that he's way too expensive, or to say that I mean, it's ridiculous. It really bothers me. I know Poncho personally, and he's a very humble guy. Came from humble beginnings, saw a need and has filled it to be able to offer products from the States for the expats that are here. And I got to tell you, it's a great store. In fact, if you haven't seen it already, go and watch the video. I did a video on it. Some people were asking, and this just like snowballed, why doesn't Walmart have everything in English? It only has it in Spanish. It's like, are you kidding me? Come on. I mean, you can do better than that. I mean, when somebody from Mexico goes to a Walmart in the States and looks at things, it's not in Spanish, it's in English. This bothers me. It bothers me that people can be so rude, disheartening, give people false fear in something that isn't even right. So Walmart does the best they can. In fact, what they do is whatever country they're in, because Walmart's all around the world, what they do is they have it in whatever language the country that they're in. So if you don't like being everything in Spanish, well, then go back to the States. I mean, again, it's just ridiculous what I hear from people or what I've seen. Here's another one. People on Facebook, I think I also saw some stuff on Instagram, about how lazy the Mexican people are. Now, I really wanted to say some things, but I don't reach out to people on Facebook. I look for two things. One is I look for people that have specific questions about Lake Chapala that I've already done a video on. And what I do is I send them that link so they can watch the video and get their own understanding of answering their question. The second thing is if I see properties on there, because I know people are looking for properties, or they've reached out to me and they're moving down here and they're looking for a property that they have no idea what it's going to be like. So I go and take a video for them, and I've got a service that does that. Takes a video, puts the video together, edits it and such, and then sends it to that client. That gives my client an idea of what that place really looks like, instead of it being wide angle lens that the photos are on. They get a real feel of what it is like inside. So when it comes to the Mexican people, I will tell you, I see nothing but them working very hard. In fact, I think they work 6 days a week here. In our community, we live in a gated community, and I see the guys working 6 days a week. It amazes me. They get 1 day off. We have a gardener. That guy works his butt off. It's just absolutely amazing. I've seen gardeners in their 60s on their hands and knees pulling weeds for the homeowner or the renter in that house on their knees. How often do you see that in the States? They are hardworking. The gal that comes and actually does our housekeeping, she's a trooper, an absolute trooper. I mean, she cleans for like 3 hours. And what she charges is 100 peso an hour. That's $5. We recently had some sparrows that were making nests up in our patio, up north, closer to the rafters. And they made this huge nest. It had babies in it. There was 3 babies. And it got to the point where the babies were already gone. And so we had her take care of the nest for us, because of the fact that all that was happening was they were pooping, and it was just coming right down in front of our door. So then it's just amazing. I mean, it's amazing what nature does. So nature found another place to put a nest. And so I told her not to do anything with it. I want to make sure, first of all, that the babies have all hatched and that they're out flying and everything. But what they do is they leave quite a bit on the ground. And, you know, sometimes we have people over and we want the place to look nice, and you just have a bunch of stuff on the ground, and it just isn't a good thing. So I will tell you, the Mexican people are hardworking, harder than those that are in the States. I appreciate them so much. I hear people on Facebook talking about using public transportation. If you use public transportation in the States and you're okay with that, when you get here, you'll probably be somewhat disappointed. The buses are pretty often, but when you get on a bus, you're going to be standing, and you've got to try to make it to the front through all these people. They don't have like a cord you pull down and lets the person know where they're going. You've got to get to the front and let the driver know that you're getting off. I mean, so you got to get through all these people to get to the front. Also, they leave the door open on the buses. I don't know why they do that, except when somebody comes down the aisle and they're getting ready to go out, they just take up their foot and they push them out the door. I've not gotten that. It's just like, and people are standing there at that last step before the bus even stops. It's amazing to see. So if you're just counting on public transportation, I think you'll be pretty disappointed. I do. I feel you'll be disappointed. I'm not saying I feel disappointed, but I feel that somebody who uses it in the States will be disappointed here. And the reason is not because it doesn't go often enough. One of the reasons is you can't really count on what time it has at that stop or where the bus stops at. You'll be driving down the carretera, which is the main highway, and you'll see people raising their hands, trying to motion to the bus driver to stop at that spot, and they're needing a ride. So that happens all across the carretera. It doesn't matter if you're in Chapala, Ajijic, or you're in Jocotepec. That's the way that they actually flag down the bus. So I think there's some things to be said. What I encourage people, if you're going to move here and you don't want a car, you can get an e-bike, you can get a golf cart, you can get a car, obviously, or you can have the phone numbers for some drivers that will actually take you and drive you to Walmart, or they'll drive you to a restaurant, wherever it is you're needing to go. Some of them actually even have a concierge business that they'll go like do shopping for you at Walmart. You give them a list, they go get it, they bring it back to you, door-to-door service. There's some folks I know that actually go with them when they do the shopping. So I would say the best way to get around here is actually bike, golf cart, private driver, or having a car. I think that not having a vehicle really kind of, I've got people that have fought me on this. I've talked about having a car, then said, no, I'm going to have a car. I'm just going to use the public transportation. I say, okay. And they get here, and guess what they've got in a month? or 2 months. They got a car, or they got a golf cart, or they've got an e-bike, or they're taking the public transportation. I mean, it just blows me away that if you're coming here and you just don't like driving, then you know what? This is a great place because you can, if you're looking at going somewhere and you don't do it very frequently, the public transportation is just fine. But if you're trying to meet some folks at a certain time and you're in a hurry to get there, I'll just tell you, you'd be disappointed if you're just using the public transportation. There'll be some that says, the public transportation is a great thing to use. I've ridden my e-bike. I've seen people trying to wave down the bus driver and he just goes right by him. I mean, there's just a lot of things about the public transportation here. You can get a taxi. There's all kinds of different ways of going about it. But I think that if you're just going to use public transportation, I think you'd be somewhat disappointed. Somebody said that nobody ever goes to the lake. I had to laugh for a moment because what they said was that nobody goes to the lake. When you go to the Malecons, there are all kinds of people there, especially in Chapala. There are all kinds of people at the lake. Now, there are some say that they don't see anything being done on the lake in regards to like a water sport. I've seen canoeing, I've seen kayaking, I've seen windsurfing, I've seen sailboats, I've seen fishing boats, I've seen sea-doos. I mean, I've seen all kinds of different things that are on the lake that people are enjoying and having a good time. What some people have to remember is this is not like a community where everyone's 25 years old or 30 years old. These are folks that are in their 60s and 70s and 80s. They're not necessarily going to go out and get on the lake. I've seen people swimming in the lake. Now, I do know that if you'll go off the shore about 300 feet, it's where you can actually look down and it's clear. But at the shore, just like any other lake, I mean, you've got the waves that are breaking along the shore, and because the bottom of the lake is silt, what happens is at the shore you're going to see it's going to look darker, as if it's dirty, but it isn't dirty. As a matter of fact, let me actually talk about that. And that is, there are folks that will say that people are getting cancer from the lake, or they're getting sick because of all the toxic fumes that come off the lake. And these are people that I've seen on Facebook. Remember I told you there's no, what was the word I used? No integrity, no responsibility, no accountability. As I said, you can say anything on social media. People are going to take that as truth. And it isn't true. If the lake was so polluted and it was so bad, why are people still staying here? I mean, it doesn't make sense. It's a freshwater lake. As a matter of fact, the lake is being pumped, water's being pumped out of the lake at the tune of 2,500 gallons a second to supply Guadalajara with fresh water. It goes through some treatment plants, but by the time it gets to Guadalajara, it's fresh water. If it was so bad, why would Guadalajara be doing that? And it wasn't just recently. It's been something that's been happening for some time. Driving down to the border by yourself. There are people that have been saying that you can do the drive down. I say, sure, you can do the drive down. But what happens if you, like Jim came down, had 3 flat tires out in the middle of nowhere? What do? Or you're getting stopped by somebody that doesn't look like they're police, and they're all in black. Now, these are experiences that I know personally from folks that have come down. They're all in black. They've got their mouths covered. They've got their hat, their baseball cap on, and they're telling you to get out of the car. What do? You don't speak the language? I mean, I tell people don't drive at night for certain. But there are services that people provide that if you're looking at driving your car down and you're a temporal or you're coming down as a tourist visa, have somebody bring you down that speaks Spanish. For one, you get to make a new friend. And for two, you get here safely. And I would say that I've had folks use some of the drivers that I actually refer to people, and they have great experiences. Great experiences. And I know these people personally, and I get smiling inside every time I hear it from the folks. Here's another one. Somebody said that the restaurants serve the fish out of the lake at the restaurants here. So I know that people go and fish, and the locals will eat the fish. Now, from what I understand, I'm not a fisherman, I'm vegetarian, I don't eat fish. But what comes out is carp. There's a lot of carp in the lake. I also understand there's bass. Now, from what I understand from somebody who actually owns a business here that takes people out on their boat fishing, I think it's like an 8-hour thing they go out for. It's catch and release. So they don't keep the bass. The bass are thrown back into the water. So let me assure you that the restaurants are not serving the fish out of the lake at the restaurants. That is so false. You could be sitting at a restaurant and see the trucks come in from Guadalajara that are bringing the fresh fish in, frozen fish even, that are bringing it in. I'll just tell you, that's not, the fish aren't coming out of the lake. I assure you that. Some people had kind of going back and forth about being able to find a place to buy here. And they said, you're not going to be able to find a place for less than $250,000. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Where are you looking? Or are you even here in the States? $250,000? I know houses that are being sold here for $150,000, $175,000, $180,000 that are under $200,000. And there again, somebody's to look at that and think, well, I can't move there and buy a house because of how expensive it is. And it's bad information. Because I will tell you, you can find something. Now, don't get me wrong. You're not buying the house up on the hill. It's got the view of the lake, and it's a spread. It's 2,500 square feet. And, you know, you're pulling up to a road that goes up and winds. No, that's not what you're going to get for that. But I would encourage somebody, don't ever tell people that you can't find a house unless it's $250,000, because that's not the truth. Negative people love company. I say negative people love negativity, and they're going to spread it to whoever they can. Folks say that you can't find a rental for under $2,000. Oh, that's so false. That is so false. I've done videos on properties for as less as $250. $250 to rent a place for a month. Now, it's in Chapala. It was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. Barbara went to look at it for ourselves, to look at when we moved from where we were for a year. We're looking for places. We went to check it out. And we just knew that we want to make sure we had a 2-bedroom. So there were things about it. But from what I understand, the place got rented just after we looked at it. Somebody else came in and said, I'll take it. $250. So you can rent things for less than $2,000. I assure you that you can. I've got one gentleman that moved here probably about a year ago, was renting a house for $1,200. Well, he ended up buying the house. So the properties here, and they're different from each neighborhood. I mean, things go up and down, up and down, up and down. But what I would tell you is the properties here are phenomenal, and you can really find some good deals. But you have to be searching for them. You can't just say, well, I can't find a good deal. Well, how many houses did you drive by? How many neighborhoods did you go drive by? Did you ask people if they know of anybody selling a house? I mean, you've got to be, you never get something if you're not searching, because you can't find what you're willing to be looking for. That's just the facts. Here's another one, that you could actually do the immigration process yourself. Here's the answer to that. Yes, you can. If you want to go and do the whole immigration thing by yourself, you can do that. There's no rule that says you have to use an attorney. I like to steer people away from using a facilitator, because here's why. Facilitator is not an attorney. Here's where attorneys are worth their weight in gold. If something happened and it became an issue, that there was a problem, a facilitator can't go to court for you. They can't represent you. Sure, they get the documents in, but what happens if they make mistakes? They just say, hey, I did my best. I processed the paperwork and gave it in. Something else happened. Somebody didn't do it right, whatever it may be. But an attorney doing it, totally different story. So I would not tell anybody, try to do the immigration thing by yourself. I really believe that's a mistake. And what I would say is it's really, really important to make sure that you get a good attorney. I've got an attorney that Barbara and I have now used for the last 3 years. She's a great gal. She's experienced. She has just less than 30 years experience, and she knows what she's doing. So yes, you can do it by yourself. I would not encourage you to do that. Just like I wouldn't encourage you to drive down from the border or drive up to the border by yourself. You would want to have somebody in the car that drives and somebody that knows the language. So, well, friend, I hope that's been helpful for you. I hope there's some things in there you can gain some value out of and get some of the questions maybe that you've had answered. So I want to thank you again for being a part of this video. This is something I like to close all my videos with. Just to let you know, I really appreciate your participation. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you subscribing. And I would just tell you that it's a great community, and I think you want to be a part of it. So go ahead and subscribe if you like the information. Also, give us one of those thumbs up. Lets other people know that you like this video. You can go ahead and stop by and say hi, ask a question, or you can even let us know a video idea that you'd like to see. Or what you can do is go ahead and hit the bell, because that way you will be immediately notified when our next video comes out. You don't want to miss our next video. So with that, have an awesome day, and we'll see you on the next video.